Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unpopular Opinion, and today, guys, I am going to be reviewing the 2003 movie Master and Commander: Far Side of the World.
This is the second time he's done this to me. There will not be a third.
Guys, I recently watched this movie for the first time, and I honestly can't believe it took me this long to watch it because everyone said I had to get on it. And to be honest, this was probably the best first-time watch experience of a movie I've had in a very, very long time. Everyone said it is the Napoleonic era Navy movie, and I completely fell in love with it. So overall, I genuinely think it is probably the most underrated movie of the century. But guys, before we get into the topic itself, we are going to be playing a little game. Guys, at the end of this video, I will be playing a quick 5-second clip from a random movie. So if you're the first person to correctly identify what that movie is, if you comment it below, you're the first person to do that, you win. So I'll pin that comment to the top of the comments and give you a shout out in the next video. So all you gotta do is stick around to the end of the video, identify that quick 5-second clip, you're the first person to comment it, I'll pin that comment to the top and give you a shout out in the next video. But guys, I'm gonna be very, very strict on this rule. You have to say the full title of the movie. So if it's a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, you can't just say Pirates of the Caribbean. You gotta say Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. I'm gonna be very strict on that, but let's get into the review. So the plot of this movie is there is a British ship in the Royal Navy. It's 1805 during the Napoleonic Wars, and they are tasked with finding a French privateer ship, the Acheron. They have to hunt it down and destroy it. So they're off the coast of Brazil in a fog, and the HMS Surprise is attacked by the Acheron, and they're heavily damaged in this battle.
Down! All hands down!
But the HMS Surprise manages to escape in the fog, and the captain, Jack Aubrey, he makes his repairs and he begins the chase of chasing this ship from around the Atlantic coast of South America into the Pacific by going around Cape Horn. And that's pretty much the plot of the movie. Overall, it's a pretty cool, fun cat and mouse chase, and it's kind of like the Hunt for Red October in the 19th century. Here's what I love about this movie. It is very, very refreshing that finally there is a really historically accurate movie that's actually entertaining. And I know there's a lot of history geeks who want to talk about the history, so let's just do that right now. A lot of it is period correct. The weapons, the lingo, the tactics, the battle commands. I mean, the ship, it looks spot on because this is a period piece, and they did their research. They did a very good job capturing this period of time in the Royal Navy. I mean, the truth of the matter, this is probably one of the most historically accurate Navy movies set during the Napoleonic era. Seeing the crew of the ship, the officers, and how they do navigational tactics, how they do their commands, how they operate, that looked really good. Like one scene in particular, Captain Jack Aubrey, he's making his crew do drills. He's trying to have them fire and reload broadsides as quick as they can with accuracy, and that's a real thing. The Royal Navy really did pride themselves in having gunners be really quick at firing their cannons, reloading, and being as accurate as possible. So that's a spot-on, accurate detail that I love about this movie.
Stop the battery! Fire! We need to fire 2 broadsides to her 1. You want to see a guillotine in Piccadilly?
It's a small detail, but I love stuff like that. And you know what else? It's actually really refreshing to have a movie, a historical movie with a male protagonist who's not like a tyrant, who's not incompetent, who's not bad with his leadership qualities, because our main protagonist, Jack Aubrey, was actually a very good leader.
The simple truth is not all of us become the men we once hoped we might be.
I mean, you see, he's a competent guy. He doesn't really lose his temper. He knows what he's doing, and he has a lot of great masculine virtues that a lot of people could really look up to.
Through our Lord Jesus Christ.
I don't think there was ever a moment in the movie where I really questioned his authority. I mean, from the get-go, he's immediately likable because he cares about his sailors, cares about his men, and he's willing and dedicated to see this mission through to the end.
It's not a question of pride or anything like. It's a question of duty.
He knows what he's up against. He knows the decks are stacked against him, but he's willing to jeopardize his life and his crew's life to accomplish the mission, but not in a reckless way.
I will grind whatever grist the mill requires in order to fulfill my duty.
And then also, he seems like he's a really good mentor because there is that one scene where one of the midshipmen is being harassed by his subordinates. So he calls him into his cabin and he has a little powwow and he says, listen, there's a fine line between us, the officers, and the deckhands. You're not supposed to make friends with them. You don't cross certain boundaries.
You don't make friends with the foremost jack's lad. They'll despise you in the end, think you weak.
But that doesn't mean you have to be a tyrant. You don't be a dick. You can be firm and hard, but not unreasonable. And I really love sentiments like that. So this is definitely like a boys' night movie. It's definitely one of those movies that guys can enjoy because it's refreshing seeing men do manly things in a manly movie. A lot of great masculine virtues are in this. And I love how these people, these British people, they conduct themselves with such dignity and class for the most part.
That's the future. Fascinating modern age we live in.
And the captain was such a professional, and in the end, even though there was hardships, he was vindicated because he saw the mission through to the end and it was a mission accomplished. And Jack is just a really brilliant commander. One scene that I really loved was the Acheron was able to slip up behind the HMS Surprise, and they're like, how did they do that? We are doomed, they're gonna catch us. And Jack constructed a raft and put a lantern on it and slipped away into the dark, and it fooled the French. That was really cool. Also, furthermore, seeing those kids and those young men as midshipmen, that's actually pretty accurate because at the time in the Royal Navy, there were kids who were midshipmen who were being trained and gaining experience for their naval career. And then also featuring the Marines, like we see the Royal Marines on the ship because they're there to protect the captain, but also to board enemy vessels. We see that in the movie. That's spot on. And speaking of which, there was a really interesting subplot in the movie where there was a midshipman who was despised by the crew, and they were convinced that he was cursed because this guy, not only was he a weak man, he's not really a great leader, but he blurred the lines between officer and crew, and they resented him for it. Because there's that one scene where he's walking through the ship and they're all surrounding him in a menacing way and they're saluting him. He and us, the audience, are like, whoa, this is not good. This is like tensions, red alert, really high. I actually thought there was going to be a mutiny in that scene. There's one battle in the beginning, one battle in the end, but it's little scenes like that throughout the movie that it's not an action sequence, but little stuff like that can really make your heart pound. And the ending, how it ended, was unfortunate because the guy, he couldn't take it, he couldn't hack it. It was tragic, but those were really interesting, engaging scenes that actually made this really long movie with minimal action feel like an exciting film throughout. So that was a really cool subplot, and I don't think that's really outside the realm of possibility because sailors tend to be superstitious.
Sailors can abide a great deal, but not a Jonah.
And they thought he was cursed, kind of like the story in the Bible of Jonah. And, oh, Jonah, we gotta throw him overboard and he's gonna get swallowed by the big fish.
You believe it too?
Not everything is in your book, Stephen.
And overall, it's just a really fun movie to watch. I love those scenes in the cabin or when the characters are playing their instruments or when they're at the dinner table, like the dialogue, the chemistry between the characters, the officers. That was all truly amazing. Now, in terms of heroes and villains, guys, this movie had a weird, interesting effect on me. Our heroes of the movie are British and our villains are French. Now, normally, under normal circumstances, I'd be rooting for the French, not the British. And it's not just because I'm a Napoleon fanboy, because I'm a huge fan of Napoleon. But it's because, like, I'm American. You see that? I'm an American, and at this time period, the British Empire really wasn't a friend to the United States. I mean, neither were the French, to be honest, but the tensions with the British were so bad that in just a few short years after this movie takes place, we went to war with each other. And my family fought in the Revolution and the War of 1812, so I've got some ancestral beef with you British people. No disrespect to my English friends, no hard feelings, all is forgiven, it's all water under the bridge. But all jokes aside, this movie managed to make me root for a nation that I typically wouldn't have.
His zeal for king and country kept him warm.
And it had me root against a country that I normally cheer for.
You wanna call that raggedy-ass Napoleon your king? No!
So through the power of the movie, the performances, the direction, the overall awesomeness of the characters, by the end I was thinking, damn, maybe I should join the Royal Navy. God save the king.
Want your children to sing the Marseillaise? No! Mr. Mort, Mr. Pudding, starboard battery!
And not for naught, the HMS Surprise was up against such a formidable foe. The fact that the ship was made of such thick wood and it was designed in such a way to withstand broadsides and enemy cannon fire.
You have to wonder about the nature of her hull. Our shots wouldn't penetrate.
And also the fact that it's much bigger than the Surprise, it has more crew member. I mean, honestly, when I saw that in the movie, the first thing I thought of was the USS Constitution, Old Ironsides. But that just made the battles and the tension so much more epic. Because the opening scene, that was a really cool battle scene. Keep
them sprinting, Mr. Calaban!
And the fact that the crew barely made it out. That was intense.
On the uproar! Fire!
And then in the ending battle, you have to see Captain Aubrey come up with such an ingenious plan to get close enough to the ship to do damage.
The simple fact is we were soundly beaten.
And what he did, which I thought was brilliant, was he painted the ship, he renamed it, and disguised it as a British whaling vessel. So this lured the Acheron closer, and that was an ingenious thing. The tension was really, really high, and I love the atmosphere on the ship. Like, you just hear that soft music, and you just see the characters like, all right, this is it, this is it. The battle prep, and as the Acheron is approaching, advancing, giving them their warning.
English whaler siren, this is Acheron.
Like, stop or we'll destroy you.
But you have had warning. Stop now, or we will destroy your ship.
I really, really love that scene. But I think the coolest moment of the movie is definitely when the Surprise shows her true colors and you see the sharpshooters unveiling themselves.
Let fly! Let fly!
And then the cannons open and they start firing and the French are like, whoa, we've been taken off guard. That was so, so cool. I always love great comebacks because the first battle, they got beat down so badly. They were outmatched, they were outgunned, but with tactical brilliance and excellent leadership, Captain Aubrey manages to take down the Acheron. He knocks down the main mast, he boards the ship, and in an epic hand-to-hand combat. Battle, struggle, whatever you want to call it.
Looks like the job is done, sir.
He defeats the enemy. Brilliant. Now, there were parts of the movie that I didn't really like, namely, I would say, the part where they're at the Galapagos Islands. I didn't really care for that. That did slow the pace of the movie down a little bit. But obviously, the ending makes the whole movie worth watching. It's not just that, because the opening was great, there were parts in the middle that were great, but the ending was truly phenomenal. I seriously love sailing and Navy movies like this, especially period pieces. Honestly, this reminds me of the movie The Bounty with Anthony Hopkins, another great British Navy movie. And I think the real crime is the fact that this movie wasn't that successful at the box office. Like, it made money, but not enough money, and there was supposed to be a series. A sequel was never made. I think that is a true crime. And even though this movie was nominated for a bunch of Oscars and awards like that, it came out during the time of Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean, so it was overshadowed by other epic blockbusters of that year. I feel like we were robbed of what could have been an amazing series. Crime of the century, because movies like this are really cool. Period pieces that can appeal to both hardcore, strict, stringent history buffs, but also be entertaining enough for the general audience who typically aren't interested into history. I love movies like this. One that is both historically accurate, very historically accurate, and entertaining. And so, like I said, even if you're not into history, you could still enjoy this movie. And it's not just a casual watch. It's one of those things, it's like an epic Friday night film that when you watch it, you're like, man, I gotta make an event out of this. Well, guys, that's my opinion on Master and Commander Far Side of the World. That is why I truly think that this is the most underrated movie of the century. I really wish more people knew about it. I really wish more people would talk about it. And the thing is, there are a lot of people who love this movie, but most of the people who talk about it tend to be history geeks or history YouTubers like History Hit or History Buffs, Nick Hodges. And overall, I would love it if this movie got a wider appeal amongst movie-going audiences in general, because like I said, it's the most underrated movie of the century. It's like a realistic version of Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's also like an action version of what The Bounty is. But it's its own thing, and we love it for it. Well, guys, that's all I have for you. That's my opinion on Master and Commander Far Side of the World. What did you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Well, comment below to let me know. Also, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and check me out on Instagram. Give me a follow. That will be linked in the description below. Guys, believe it or not, one like, one follow on Instagram, and one subscribe actually goes a very long way, and it really, really helps me out. So if you could do that right now, I would be much obliged. Also, guys, we got that 5-second clip from a movie coming up. If you want to partake in that challenge and try to get yourself a shout out in the next video, well, stick around. You might just be able to guess this movie. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you, and I'll see you on the next Unpopular Opinion.